All right, so today we are diving into one of the most, well, epic and frankly wild books in the Hebrew Bible. But we're not going to treat it like some dusty old scroll. Nope, we're going to look at it like the modern blockbuster drama it really is. So let's get into it. Welcome to what I'm calling the Ezekiel cinematic universe.
And yeah, you read that right. Because at its very core, this is a story about being ghosted. It's this incredibly intense narrative about what happens when a whole nation decides to just, put God on read. And he finally decides to leave the chat.
So every great cinematic universe needs a main character, right? And for this one, meet Ezekiel. We'll call him Zeke. He's this young guy who's been forcibly relocated, dragged into exile in Babylon. And what he doesn't know yet is that his direct line to, let's call it corporate, is about to get really active.
And that's the call. Think of it like a cosmic DM that just pops up on his screen. And the message? It's a job offer. But man, it is the world's toughest gig. He's got to be the spiritual watchman. His whole job is to call out his own people, his neighbors, his friends, even though he knows they're probably just going to leave him on red, or worse, block him.
And how does this call come through? I mean, this isn't some fuzzy, old-school vision of a chariot. No way. What Zeke sees is like a high-def upgrade. It's a cosmic, all-terrain throne. We're calling it the Divine SUV. It's got next-level graphics, these insane celestial beings. It's a mind-blowing spectacle.
Okay, so that whole vision kicks off Act 1 of our story, the hard reset. And here's the twist. This isn't about God judging some far-off enemy. This is about judgment on the home team, his own people, the nation of Judah. And Zeke, he doesn't just preach. Oh no, he becomes this kind of divine performance artist for the gram. He does these really bizarre public stunts to get the message across. I'm talking lying on his side for 430 days straight, baking bread over a, well, let's just say poop-fueled fire. Each one of these acts is a living, breathing billboard warning them about what's coming.
Then, to show Zeke just how bad things have gotten, God gives him this spiritual deep fake tour of the Jerusalem temple. It's like his consciousness gets teleported there, and what he sees is shocking. The temple, the supposed HQ of their faith, is just full of shady spiritual practices. The leaders are secretly doing all sorts of stuff they shouldn't be. It's a total expose.
And this leads to the most critical moment in this act. The divine protection package has been revoked. God's very presence, which had been with them, just leaves. It packs up and walks out the door. But here's the key thing to remember. They weren't abandoned. They ghosted him first. This is the consequence.
Zeke also has to hold what's basically a roast session. He calls out all the false prophets and leaders who are just trying to keep the good vibes going. He's like, you're just putting lipstick on a pig. You're trying to make this ugly situation look pretty, but you're not dealing with the real problem. All right, that brings us to Act 2, the clapbacks. So after dealing with the problems at home, the camera kind of pans out. God isn't done. Now he's serving up consequences to all the haters, all the toxic neighbors who are watching Judah fall and cheering it on.
And yeah, he calls them out by name. Ammon, Moab, Edom. You can think of them as the trolls in the comment section of history. But it doesn't stop there. He also goes after the big players, the luxury brand that is Tyre, and even the regional superpower, Egypt. Nobody gets a pass.
And the message God sends to all these rich, powerful, and arrogant nations is just devastatingly simple. It's basically this. Your stock is about to crash to zero. Your power, your wealth, none of it is going to save you from what's coming.
Now, just when you think this whole story is nothing but judgment and consequences, bam, we get a massive plot twist. Welcome to Act 3, the comeback arc. This is the point where the entire vibe of the story shifts from relentless judgment to, well, the ultimate glow-up. But before we get to the good stuff, the news finally arrives. Jerusalem has fallen. It's gone. This is it. This is absolute rock bottom. Everything Ezekiel warned them about has happened.
So, is that it? Is it over? I mean, what else is there to say?
No, not even close. See, right at this lowest point, God makes this incredible promise of a total divine upgrade. He says he's going to perform basically a spiritual heart transplant. He's going to take out their stone-cold, broken hardware and give them a new, soft heart. He's going to replace their buggy code with his own spirit. And this promise is illustrated in maybe the most famous scene in the whole book. This is the story's big viral moment, the Valley of Dry Bones. God shows Zeke this vision of a valley just littered with old, dry, dead bones. It's the perfect picture of how dead and hopeless the nation feels. But then, God tells Zeke to speak to the bones, and they start to rattle and connect, and then they're covered in flesh, and then God breathes His Spirit into them, and they become a living army. The message couldn't be clearer. No situation is too dead for me to reboot. It's the ultimate comeback.
And the whole cinematic universe wraps up with this final, stunning vision. It's like a blueprint for the future. Zeke gets a tour of a new, perfect temple, and this time, God's presence moves back in, for good. There's a river of life flowing from it, healing everything. The land is shared fairly. It's a vision of total restoration.
Phew! So, after all that, all the visions, the performance art, the judgment, the hope, what's the ultimate TLDR? What does it all mean? Let's break it down.
Okay, a few key takeaways here. First, God's people ghosted him, and yeah, they face some serious consequences. But, and this is so important, his end game was never just destruction. It was always about redemption. He promises to do the one thing they couldn't do for themselves, give them a new heart. When you boil it all down, it's a story of really tough love that leads to the ultimate restoration.
And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. If all that judgment we saw was a form of tough love, right? What does the restoration part require? That's the question this whole epic story leaves us with. It's something to really chew on.